All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a live tropical weather update on this tropical cyclone that we are going to be talking about today off the northeastern coast of Madagascar. Well, give it a minute for everyone to come right on in. This is Gamane. As at right now at about, I think it's closer hurricane strength at about 75 miles an hour. I think it's about 65 knots, just based on the latest satellite imagery with this system. Deep convection, even an eye trying to develop there over the last several hours. But regardless, the storm is continuing to intensify, and it is moving very little, if at all, as the storm continues to creep closer towards the northeastern Madagascar coastline. We do expect this to make landfall as a tropical cyclone within the next 24 to 36 hours. Until then, there will be strong gusty winds along the immediate coastline. There will be lots of flooding, 12 to 24 inches of rain over the next 24 to 36 hours from now. Heavy rain is going to be the biggest threat with this system as the system creeps closer, and then as the high pressure begins to move away from the coastline, that is when we're going to see some of it. Once it moves away, that's when we're going to see the conditions start to improve. If it makes landfall over the mountainous terrains of Madagascar, it is very likely that there could be mudslides and landslides with this system, on top of the very heavy winds, on top of the very, very heavy rain, and the possibility of also seeing some storm surge here on the southern end, where we are seeing some of the wind funnel into that coastline, pushing some of the water onto the shore. Talking a little bit about the models, I want to talk a little bit about what we could see with the modeling, wind forecast, how strong it could be. We do think this could reach a peak of a major hurricane, upwards of a Category 3 as a possibility with this system. That is also going to be definitely a big issue. Not only going to see a lot of flooding, but you're also going to see a lot of very strong winds because it's sitting over such warm waters. So let's talk a little bit about the forecast models. Let's take a look and see what HWRF is showing. So here it is, as of 18Z, 991 millibars. If we go into time, it shows it to be a lot farther from the coastline than it actually is. All right, so let's go back to tropical tidbits, and you can see with the satellite imagery how close this actually seems to be to the coastline. It's much closer than what the models are showing as of right now. That's where it's at. That red L indicates the area of low pressure and where it's located. It's not located very far away from the coast. So already with what the models are showing, they're showing it much further away than it actually is. Which means the models are saying that it's going to have more time to intensify. And the HWRF doesn't even show a landfall. We think this could certainly make a landfall. This one looks a little bit more reasonable, but again, it is still pretty far away. This is 12Z. So that might be a little bit more accurate, but we do think this is going to make a landfall. And when it does, this again is showing about 30 hours from now from when it makes landfall. And then once it pretty much makes landfall, the mountainous terrain of northern and eastern Madagascar pretty much rip this apart. And so there'll be lots of landslides, mudslides, and flooding are going to be a very, very big issue in Madagascar with the system. And the storm pretty much just almost completely fizzles out. Now, even if this remains just a remnant low near Mauritius and Reunion, the threats to the mountainous islands are still going to be that flooding rains, the gusty winds, but the flooding is going to still remain the biggest threat with this system if this does still impact Reunion and Mauritius. The GFS has been kind of all over the place. So right now they're showing at about 976 millibars. So they're already showing it way stronger than it's going to be. And they don't even show a landfall. So we already know the GFS is completely wrong with this already. Now, regardless of when or where this makes landfall, the biggest threat always is going to be that heavy rain and that flooding. You're going to go to Force 13. This is not our website. This all belongs to Force 13, but it is very, very good information. So then this is what they're showing at 990 millibars at about 70 miles an hour, 60 knots. Water temperature where this system is at about 84.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you go. You can see the very warm waters that it's sitting over, very, very close there to the immediate coastline there of the northeastern island, northeastern part of Mauritius. Now the amount of TWB is tropical precipitable water. Is what I think this is. So you can see the amount of moisture with this system. There's a lot of moisture there in the northern bit of the island. Now you can kind of get a bit of an idea where the drier area is probably where we're seeing some of those mountains. We're seeing less moisture in drier conditions for sure. This is basically if you condensed all the water in the vertical column of the atmosphere, how much water that would be. And if you look, we're seeing 70 plus millimeters in that center. So there's a lot of moisture in the vertical column of the atmosphere with this system. I mean, it has a possibility of dropping and producing a lot of rain in Madagascar. For sure. Open something up here real quick. Keep answering any questions that y'all have. We will continue to answer them. Just trying to pull something up here real quick. If my computer can handle it. Does not help that my chair is so squeaky and loud. Come on. Yes, please translate to English so I can actually talk about this and explain a little bit of what is going on. So this is the Meteorological Agency of Madagascar. Might take a little bit, but I do want to talk a little bit about what all the warnings are for Madagascar and the areas that are going to be impacted by this storm. So until then, I'm going to still talk a little bit about. So again, this is the moisture with this system. Again, this is where the storm is at. These are some of the these are the air pressure readings in black. Blue is 10-minute winds in knots, 9 knots, 7 knots, 10 knots, 6 knots, and red is the current air temperature. So these are some of the weather stations. Now, as we talk about this storm, as the storm gets closer and closer to these weather stations, the numbers in black will drop 1024 millibars. The reason that's so high is because that's closer to where an area of high pressure is at, or it could also be in a valley. I'm not exactly sure directly with the geographically how Madagascar is set up. This done yet? No, not yet. So that's so as this gets closer, these numbers in black will drop. The numbers in blue will rise, the minutes to minutes sustained winds, and the temperature, the red might actually drop a little bit too with the rain-cooled atmosphere for sure. So these are hourly single images. This is with the forecast track. Okay. Page not found. Shoot, that was a mistake. Okay. Well, this is back up. I want to look at so the clouds associated with the strong tropical storm Gamane are already bringing rain to the northeastern part of the country. Elsewhere, the trade winds continue to influence the weather. So That would be up in this region that I want to particularly look at, where we are seeing these direct impacts with this system. A few details. I want to know the watches and what the watches and warnings are showing. Oh, cyclone here. What are they? Click on cyclone. So this is the latest. Good God, this is blurry. That's okay. So yellows. So it's a severe tropical cyclone. Okay? This is a severe tropical cyclone. Yellow alert is 24 to 24 hours before impact. And that's what we're seeing all right here is in yellow. So we do expect at around 24 to between 24 and 48 hours prior to impact. What it says is as of March 26, 2024 at 10 a.m. local time, the tropical disturbance that formed over the Indian Ocean intensified rapid intensification, and was christened by the Meteorological Agency of Madagascar in the name of Gamane at 5 o'clock local time at 9 a.m. Its center was located 150 kilometers northeast of Volkhmir. She continued. Interesting how they give these genders. Interesting. She continued to intensify and is now classified as a strong tropical storm. Average wind is at around 90 kilometers an hour, with gusting reaching 125 kilometers an hour. So we're saying about 50, 60 miles an hour. Now, the next bulletin will be on the 27th at 03. I think 03Z is what I think that would be. That'd be tonight, my time. Now, again, something I want to continue to talk about is the risk of heavy rainfall more than 80 millimeters in a 24-hour period. Flooding and landslides will be feared for vulnerable areas until Thursday, the 28th day of March, 2024. From an additional storm surges associated with Gamane could also cause marine flooding and alongside coast of Sabah from tomorrow, the 27th of March, 2024. Faced with the potential of dangers caused by Gamane, the populations of the regions are urged to raise the level of preparedness by applying the yellow alert threat. Again, the yellow alert is 24 to 48 hours before impact. So again, this is Office of Satellite Imagery. This is nice. This is nice. So this is where the storm is located. It's kind of just stalled. It's not really moving anywhere. It's pretty much been in the exact same area here along a lot of these islands here. Very, very close, just hanging off the coast of the very northern tip of Madagascar there. So again, this isn't really a loop. This is just visible. Click on the visible loop. So again, there's the latest satellite imagery of the system. As you can see, it hasn't really moved anywhere. It's pretty much stayed in the exact same spot over several hours. Lots of heavy rain, gusty winds, and the waves are certainly becoming an issue there right along the immediate coastline. Storm surge is imminent, if not already beginning to occur. So again, that's what the warnings are showing with this system. Good Lord, 210. Oh wait, no, these are cyclone names. There it is. It's supposed to have been intense tropical cyclone, February 15th this year. This was 210 kilometers per hour. This is at 90 kilometers an hour, gust of 125, nearly 300 kilometers per hour. So very, very intense systems. Are intense. So, in the next several hours, be very vigilant. Local authorities shall take all measures they deem appropriate take cover, and stay informed with your local meteorological services. The threat notice may be very short or may not even exist. Now, here are some of the actions to be taken. Now, listen to all radio and television news as much as you can. Abandon waterfront homes and go to a safe place. If the home is not safe, stock up enough for several days. Cease all maritime activities, storing drinking water, and move livestock to a safe place. Bring the canoes back to dry land and secure them. This is what we're looking at with this system. Don't think anyone has any comments, questions, or concerns, but I do in fact want to check just in case anything happens. Alright. So that's what we're looking at with this system right now. I do want to look at radar, if we have any radar sites in this area. See what we got here. Talk a little bit about what we have going on with this system. So here we is 65 miles an hour. We think it is pushing in close to a category 1. We do think this could make landfall at 100 miles an hour. I do believe I do think this could continue to rapidly intensify. And then as it moves closer to Mauritius, it may only be a weak tropical, just an extra tropical cyclone as it falls apart as it approaches Reunion and Mauritius. Find this. I'll have to pull it up over here. Cyclone. So, in terms of what our code is, we're currently at a code orange. Right now, we have it at a 75 mile per hour category 1 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale. This is as of 1800 UTC, the 26th of March 2024. We are giving it a code 77. It's category 1. Maximum sustained winds are, we believe, at 75 miles an hour. And air pressure wise, we're bringing it at 981 millibars. Let's see. Precipitation. Okay. Try to see if we get any live radar here. We probably actually won't because there's no radar here. There's no radar data. Nothing. Closest radar data is all the way in Reunion and Mauritius, so radar data is not going to happen, which is okay. Okay, 1 second. Wow. This is the tropical forecast guidance for all active systems, and as of right now, there is only one current active system. Fortunately, only one. These are the modeling, so we do believe this will make landfall. We believe this could happen within the next 24 to 36 hours from now. Here is this system. These show all the we don't look. Okay. Oh, perfect. This is what I'm looking for. There we go. So these are the modeling. So again, we do think that, again, these are in knots, okay? 80, 90, upwards of 80 to 90 knots are possible. So we do think a hurricane is likely out of it, or we think a hurricane is already what we have right now. Now this was at 12Z this morning at about 55 knots. And right now we believe it is at 65 knots. And it doesn't expect it to reach. So at 12 hours from then, this would be 6 hours, would be at about 70 knots roughly. These are the maps, so we do expect the storm to intensify, but then when it does make landfall, it will quickly fall. It will fall apart over the mountainous terrains of Madagascar. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to comment any questions in the chat below. We're not getting anything with this at the moment. That really covers a majority of everything that really needs to be talked about with this system. It's going to, as it moves slowly, it's going to continue to slowly move towards Madagascar, and it will make landfall in 24 to 36 hours. Until then, flooding will continue to be the biggest threat. We will see storm surge and gusty winds through as this does make landfall. But for right now, there isn't a whole lot else to talk about. I just really want to cover a majority of the basics with this system. And that really covers it. Again, if you are in this area of northern Madagascar, make sure that you are prepared. If you do plan to evacuate, make sure you are leaving as soon as you possibly can, as this is currently closing in on northern Madagascar right now. So, as you can see, this is the intensity of the tropical system. And again, it does show it at around 55 knots. We have it at 65 knots right now, at about 75 miles an hour. It is expected to peak between about 85 to 90 knots, depending on how the conditions do show it to be very, very favorable. So we do think that this is certainly a possibility. Based on the air pressure, I think it will certainly get below 980 millibars, just based on the development of this system. If we go back to force 13, you can actually see, we believe, again, about 85 knots, 85 to 90 knots is what we think it's going to be upon landfall. So many maps here. Okay, that's not what I need. Majority of these maps aren't even available. It's just the top maps right here that appear to be available. So what I can do is I can check an earlier cycle. Here we go. And then I can click on play. There you go. There it is. Really, really tiny storm. I was like so far away. Okay. Okay, this is large scale, this is small scale. Okay. As you can see, here's the wind speed. Tries to get itself organized, doesn't do very well, and falls apart. Again, this is at the surface. 2 meter temperature, 10 meter wind. So if I can you can really see here, so we are seeing some of those oranges, so getting those dark yellows, you're seeing between 85 and 90 knots, probably closer to 90 knots there, right in the core. And this is, again, this is showing here landfall in 32. Doesn't say the timing. That's kind of what we're seeing with this system. And we can even look at the reflectivity with this system. So one of the main things I want to point out is that this system does try to, the eye gets pretty tight and more round right before landfall, and that is a sign that that's usually rapid intensification. As the eye gets smaller, the winds usually pick up, and as the winds pick up, and the eye gets smaller, it becomes more dangerous. Storm surge becomes worse. The flooding overall becomes worse, and the storm is overall a more stronger system. So we could see pretty intense system upon landfall. Okay. So this is going to go back to the satellite imagery and talk a little bit about its overall development of the system. I want to get good satellite imagery. I want the best. So we're continuing to see the intriguing development of the system, deep thunderstorm activity, big blossoms of high clouds. So this definitely has a core going already. We saw an eye try to develop multiple times, but continuously gets pushed out by the deep convection. So the storm is continuing to develop and trying to create a much more well-defined center and possibly an eye. Definitely an eye with that radar. However, the extent to how far this goes into Madagascar isn't currently known. In other words, is it just going to kind of skim the coastline? Is it going to go through right all the way into the mountains? Is it going to go, past? So, this is kind of what we're looking at with this storm. It's kind of stalling out right here. It's not really just sitting. It's not really moving along very quickly, which is a big issue. We saw a lot of these storms here in the United States that did that, and it caused a lot of catastrophic damage. The best one I can think of off the top of my head in 2017 was Hurricane Harvey, which produced over 60 inches of rain in southeast Texas. So this is from the Météo France, La Reunion, as you can see here. That's where the storm is as of 1600 hours. It is expected to intensify pretty strong, make landfall 12 to 24 hours or so, and then make its way away. Kind of falls apart, but even as the storm does fall apart, it is still going to produce a lot of heavy rain and gusty winds for Mauritius and La Reunion. Alright, so this is the latest discussion from them. Let's see what we got here. Talk a little bit about what we got going on here. So this is the Tropical Cyclone Center in La Reunion Tropical Cyclone Forecast Warning. Central air pressure at 983 millibars. Maximum winds. These are, again, 10 minutes sustained wind at 60 knots. So we think about 1 minute sustained wind would be about 70 knots. So dealing with about 80 miles per hour right there. The radius of maximum wind, the RMW, radius of maximum wind are 24 kilometers. The extension of wind by coordinate and kilometer to the northeast, 75, 34 knots to the northeast is 45, 48 and 64 is 0. The first closed isobar pressure is 1009 millibars, 400 kilometers away, and the vertical extension of cyclone circulation is D. So in 12 hours, up 80 knots, it's a tropical cyclone. 48 hours, 85 knots, 12, so 24 hours will be at 90 knots, 36 hours, it will be overland at 35 knots, 48 hours overland as a depression, 60 hours of depression, 72 hours it re-intensifies as a moderate tropical storm at 35 knots. And again, this would be about 40 knots at 1 minute sustained wind. The longer range outlook shows it doesn't really intensify much more, but still remains a relatively weak as it gets back over the waters. Because of the jet stream kind of pulling it apart. Now, over the last 6 hours, it has seemed to have turned back. For all that, the system's cloud pattern has improved, with cloud tops gradually spreading and cooling, particularly between 8 and 1100 UTC. The temperatures are around negative 83 degrees Celsius. where an eye can be even seen temporarily on visible satellite images. Now, the visual aspect shows objective signs of rapid intensification supported by the 0655Z microwave, showing a consolidated convective core, both 37 and 85 gigahertz. Now, this is subjective analysis. The intensity is raised to 60 knots, 70 miles an hour, at 10 minutes sustained winds. And again, that would be at 70 knots. So, you could see winds closer to around 80 miles an hour at 1 minute sustained winds. Now, the short term, the storm is expected to slowly move southwards and then southwestwards towards the coast of Diego Soares province, Madagascar. Under the influence of a low to mid troposphere ridge located immediately to the east, and American guidance remains widely dispersed that the RSMC forecast is based on a compromise, but the continuing with dispersion of the models means that there is considerable uncertainty about the track and the intensity of this system. The latest runs suggest a landfall over the province of Diego Soares tomorrow, Wednesday, with a probable exit over the basin on Friday evening. In the contrast to the American models, which suggest that the system will continue off the Madagascar coast towards the greater islands, accelerating as the ridge moves away to the east and the mid-latitude trough passes to the south. So with all of this, based off all in this report from the agency, we can expect that as this makes landfall, the threats will continue for flooding, landslides, mudslides, heavy rains, and storm surge. It will slowly move over the land, over Madagascar, and exit. As it exits, there will not be a lot of intensification. It will try to recover and probably reach 40 to 45 knots, 45 to 50 miles an hour at its peak. However, as that happens and it moves away towards Reunion and Mauritius, the biggest threat will continue to be that flooding and heavy rain as the storm falls apart and releases all of its energy in the form of rain and wind. More or less rain than wind, as the storm will not have a big wind impact on those islands. Gale force winds are expected along the coast of the Diego Soares province on Wednesday at landfall. The storm surge winds will still likely, and hurricane force winds are going to be possible. Waves of 4 meters along the coast until Friday. Any comments, questions, or concerns? I do want to take a little look at the rainfall and exactly how much rain we could be getting with this storm. I need to go to the right website though for that to happen. Probably what's causing everything to be slow. So again, this is currently where the system is at. As we all know, it shows minimal tropical system, but I think the winds are a lot stronger, certainly, than what they're showing here. That's a little bit more accurate. There we go. But that's still way off at only 60 miles an hour. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the rain accumulation over the next. I'm going to start with the European model and talk a little bit about what we could see over the next 12 hours. As you can see, some of these areas right along the coastline could see 4 inches of rain. Some isolated areas could see 4.5 to 5 inches of rain over the next 12 hours. Over the next 24 hours, as the storm begins to make landfall, I do think we could see 4 to 5 inches widespread across the entire northern part of the island. Now, over the next 3 days, I do expect there would be lots of rain that would have fallen, 20 to 25 inches of rain across a majority of the entire island right here. The northern part of the island will see over 20 inches of rain, close to 2 feet of rain in just 72 hours. 5 days. Storm moves away, begins making its way away and towards Reunion and Mauritius. So, 12 hours of just short range. Talk a little bit about what's going to happen over the next several hours. Here along the immediate coastline, we do expect 5 to 6 inches of rain. And then as this approaches, we could see some areas get as much as 7 inches of rain there along the immediate coastline and some isolated areas. 5-6 inches of rain are possible. 5 inches of rain is likely across the entire northern part of the island. 6 to 7 inches in some more isolated areas. Flooding is going to be a big threat. It's going to continue to happen over the next several days with this system as it makes landfall and moves through the island of Madagascar. Well, I want to end this here. This is going to close it up for today. If you have enjoyed this live stream, feel free to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you want to, we do have our 2024 North Atlantic hurricane season predictions on Patreon, starting at just $1 a month. Go check those out. And if you are interested in being part of the Hurricane Watch team, links are in the description of our Discord server where you can join, or you can just chat with the team members. That is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you for everyone who has joined and who has watched this far. Your support means a lot. That's me for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. As always, peace out.